Okay, I think you are going now. Yeah, you can go.
Looks like we're live. Great, thanks, Robin. Welcome to this next session or third session of the evening, third session of the AF Beer Festival. I'm Matt. I run the alcohol-free beer account, Guilt-Free Pints. I'm based over here in Amsterdam, and I'm very excited to be joined by Gazz from Tiny Rebel, co-founder of Tiny Rebel. Welcome.
Hi.
Where to start? Do you want to just introduce yourself, introduce Tiny Rebel for the people who are living under rocks and aren't really aware of Tiny Rebel and what you do? Just tell us a little bit about the brewery first, and then we can get into alcohol-free and talk about the beer.
Yeah, cool, awesome. Yeah, well, thanks for having us. We and Robin did it a few months ago now, and thanks for having us. I'm Gareth, and I'm one half of Tiny Rebel, one of many actually, but one half that started it. I should say. Me and my mate Brad started the business. Wow, kind of like I'd say just over 9 years ago now, and kind of started as home brewers, mates in a garage, kind of home brewing together, and just kind of took it from there. That's where it all started, I guess, and it's kind of grown a little bit since then. And we just like to have a bit of fun and make different beers, and we're pretty serious about our beers, but kind of not so serious about the beer industry, really. And that's what we kind of try and portray, and we poke fun at a little bit as well. So yeah.
You don't take yourselves too seriously either, right?
Not really, no. I mean, we both beer geeks, beer fans. And we just have a laugh with it, I guess, really. We're just kind of normal guys and just normal people, just enjoying what we're doing and being, we're very lucky to do what we do, and we don't take it for granted either. So, yeah. And
it's great to see, I think to my knowledge, you've got five or have had 5 alcohol-free beers, one a little while ago, which I'd love to talk about. And we've got the rhubarb and custard as part of the AF beer pack. Just tell us a little bit about the beer. Have you got one there? I've cracked one open. Yeah. I love the look of it. I know it's not a departure from your alcoholic version as well. So just tell us a little bit about the conception of it. Where did it all come from, and how did you come up with this flavor? Because there's nothing else quite like it, right?
No, it's not. And I personally, I think this is one of my favorite non-alcoholic beers that we've done. I probably say it is my favorite. We originally done the beer, a sour beer, the rhubarb and custard, a few years ago now. Cheers, guys. And we just absolutely loved it, but not just the beer itself. We love the design, the colors of the can. And it's kind of that take on that old school kind of, what was it, 80s, 90s kind of that rhubarb and custard sweet.
The sweet,
the hard-boiled sweet. That sort of flavor. That's what we were going for, was that flavor. Because I think with rhubarb, when you try rhubarb in its raw format, it's not like the sweet tastes. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit, it's just different, isn't it? Really, I guess. But we wanted to recreate that kind of sweet shop style flavor that you get with the sweet. I think it was kind of born from that, really. We had a bit of a brainstorming session back last year, kind of thinking, right, we're going to bring out a few more extra non-alcoholic beers in January. What would we like to bring out? And I think obviously the first one that came out was a kind of stout. We wanted that kind of a pale ale, a nice hoppy pale ale. This one came into the mix as well as a kind of curveball, because we love it. It's probably our favorite sour that we've made, alcoholic version of. And we just wanted to kind of replicate that in a non-alcoholic version, I guess.
And what about the brewing process then? Is it pretty similar to the alcoholic version? Where's that kind of change in direction happen?
It's almost exactly the same. So we don't kind of like pasteurize, or we don't dealcoholize it or whatever, and strip the alcohol out of it. We go through the same method as we do. We mash in. Obviously, we mash in with different grains, and obviously because we don't want to get too many fermentables in there, but we want to keep that body in there. And then over to the kettle where we kettle sour it. over 48 hours. We put a kettle sour in, then we boil it out after 48 hours. It goes through the process exactly the same as any other sour beer that we do. So, yeah.
And one thing I was thinking about, right, is I can't imagine putting either the boiled sweets in the fridge before trying them or having rhubarb and custard stone cold. So what temperature would you recommend drinking this one at?
I reckon just straight out of the fridge.
Straight out of the fridge, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of wouldn't get too finicky with it. It is kind of it is quite highly carbonated. You do kind of want that. You do want it cold. Personally, I want it cold, and if I was to give it to one of my friends, I'd give it to them straight out of the fridge. It's not like an ale where you want it a little bit warmer as such. Just straight out of the fridge. I mean, not absolutely ice cold, but I wouldn't be too kind of overzealous with it.
I like that. And in terms of alcohol-free beers, right, we've got to talk a little bit about your views and your journey towards it, right? I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, but by my reckoning, your first at least released AF was the collab Big Drop for your 7th birthday. Was there something before that, or?
No, I think that was the first one that we'd done.
Yeah,
was with Big Drop, and they came in and done that one, and that was a kind of a chocolate mocha imperial.
Vanilla, yeah.
Do you know what? We love that beer, and it still tastes really good because we got like a few at the back of the cupboard, or someone finds one of them, and we pop it open, and it's just like, wow, it's got better. It's crazy. We were really happy with it because it had that real thick, full body with it, that kind of nitro effect to it as well. And we were just like, wow, if we can do this, and we learned a great deal from the guys at Big Drop as well. Obviously with the collaboration, which is what it's all about, really. So that helped. And yeah, we just kind of took it from there, really. I think what we wanted to do was kind of, was weird actually, because we always said about Club Tropica, which is our flagship beer, super important to us, that we never ever wanted to deviate. Yeah, we never wanted to deviate from that brand. It was always going to stay. People were asking, I'll put it on cask, do a sour version of it. And we were like, no, we were super protective of it. But Brad kind of in his wisdom thought, let's make a non-alcoholic version of it. And we'll, Club NA. And that was born. And, that came from that collaboration kind of thing, really. And just we were just kind of into it, and that was where Club NA kind of came from. And we spent a long time kind of, because there was a big gap between the first non-alcoholic beer that we done to the next one, and that was all R&D. I think it was over 6 months, 7 months, 9 months maybe, and that was trying to nail down our Club Tropica NA. So yeah, that was the kind of transition from there to there.
Well, yeah, you absolutely nailed it. I'm based over here in Amsterdam, and I was waiting for so long for it to appear in my local bottle shop, and when it did, I was very excited, and I was really, really happy to get hold of it in the end, which is great. And I mean, in terms of sort of where you're going to go from now, do you have plans to just keep going in the same? Because let me change my question. Is Space Cake and your Party Hard influenced as well by an alcoholic version? Do you have an alcoholic version of your Space Cake, or are they both AF
Space Cake
in their own right?
Not as such, really. I mean, we do a lot of big dessert style beers. Not so many kind of like straightforward stouts, really. And Space Cake isn't a really kind of big. It's not meant to be a big dessert style non-alcoholic beer. So kind of no, it wasn't replicated on a beer that we've done. I think what it came from a lot of influence that I think kind of a lot like our brewers and people that are big stout fans. It was kind of just trying to nail a good solid stout with a bit of that coffee flavor and a couple of flavors just to complement it in there, because we're making so many different style beers and big, thick, sickly dessert beers. It's quite nice to strip it back sometimes and just go back to a bit of old school. And so I think that's where it came from, really. And it was nice.
You've just gone back to basics there, then.
I think so. With that addition of the coffee flavors in there as well, and I think, it's you don't want to kind of overdo it with non-alcoholic beers, in my opinion. Really, it's kind of we will take it there one day and go absolutely crazy, but I think just one step at a time. And I think it's just not just us. There's a lot of people, a lot of breweries doing these kind of crazier non-alcoholic beers at the moment, and I think they're going to get crazier as time goes on. And I think it'll just replicate the current beer scene, which it kind of is already anyway. But yeah.
I really love that you're saying you don't want to go too crazy as I'm drinking a rhubarb and custard sour.
I know, yeah.
Alcohol-free. I love that. And how's the situation over there? Are you going to be reopening soon? How's the tap room looking?
We've got a devolved government, so we've got our own little leader making his kind of own rules up, and so we're open a little bit later than England. We're not opening next week. I think we're about 3 weeks behind.
Oh, really? Okay.
Which is typical for Wales. But we're really stoked for it. We're really excited now, and everybody's buzzing around, and just generally the mood lifts everywhere. With all the staff, and they've got more to kind of focus on, and they want to get them back open. And I think the general public as well. They just it's so nice to have an end in sight now, and to try and get out of it. And there's a lot of positive things happening, because it's been a crappy time, isn't it? Especially the last kind of December onwards. So I think everybody's just a bit excited now, and just try and getting back to some sort of normality and seeing friends and family, isn't it? I think that's the main thing. And if you can share a beer with your friends and family, it's going out, seeing a bit of different scenery, isn't it? And yeah, so we're really excited for that. So
even with connecting everyone virtually, you can feel there's a change in everyone's beginning to get a bit of a buzz, because there's sort of a beginning of the end, or at least the end's in sight, which is nice.
It is definitely.
And I really wanted to ask you, sort of, it's not easy to take the decision to come out with not just one, but a range of alcohol-frees, release them at the same time, and then sell as well as they do. What have been the biggest challenges for you, sort of putting so much effort into the alcohol-free area?
I think to not do it would be an injustice, really. There's a lot of people that do drink non-alcoholic beers. I mean, Brad is a big fan of them, and he'll drink them quite regularly. He'll drink them all through the week, and he's a very big driver behind it. Me personally, I'll have one now and again. There's a time and a place for everything, isn't it? Yeah. But Brad is the big driver behind that. And I think when we do a special beer, and when we release something, it's pointless doing it kind of half-assed. If you're going to do it, go kind of like balls deep on it, really. You go, because that's the fun around it, and people love these special beers that come out, and these one-offs, and people say, how do you get these 4-packs and these mixed packs into 4s, 8s, and 12s? And it's difficult, and it's really time consuming, from start to finish. I think a lot of people don't understand the amount of work goes in front end when you come out with these new beers, and you've got the new can designs, and you put them into a mixed 4-pack, because we don't have the machines. It's all done by hand, really. So there's a lot of planning behind it, especially at the moment where raw materials are so hard to come by. Like, so that sounds so boring now, but cardboard is like really super hard to get. Because everybody is using so much cardboard. It's because of the current climate and what's happening. Everybody, everything, all the breweries have switched to cans or bottles because of there's no pubs open. So it's all kind of like off trade at the moment. So everybody wants these containers. Yeah. So it's very difficult. So there's a lot of planning that goes into it, front end. Making the beer is actually the easy part, but the brewers will give me a row for saying that.
Yeah, right.
And then it's packaging it all up and putting them into these, stripping down the boxes of 24s, putting them into the mixed packs, people popping them together, gluing the boxes. And but yeah, I mean, not to do a kind of non-alcoholic 4-pack would have been an injustice, really. We do love a 4-pack at Tiny Rebel, but and hopefully we're going to see some more in the coming months, hopefully. So
that's exciting. Can you share any more on that one?
I can't. Not allowed.
I thought you might say that.
Do you know what? There's so many new beers that we do, and it's like I said. I mean, everybody loves a new beer. We don't kind of it's not our main thing just to do like sort of one-offs. We're proud of our core products like Cali and Club, but we're doing so many beers. I can't even keep up with these new ones. Someone put 4 beers on my desk today because I've been off all week on holidays with my kids, and I popped into work for 2 hours this afternoon, and there were 4 beers, brand new beers on the desk, and I was like, "Geez, guys, what's going on?" But so there's loads going on. So just keep your eye out, I guess. So.
Oh, I always will. Yeah, I'm sure everyone watching in will be really keen to see what's next as well. And another thing I was curious about is how many sort of, you said that the R&D on the club was what, 6, 8, 9 months. How long do you take to kind of tweak and get to that perfection point? Do you ever get to that perfection point? And
no, it's a good question.
How do you kind of get there?
Yeah, I think because of the process of the non-alcoholics that we go through, which is a restricted ferment, I mean, there's a risk that comes with it, especially when you're not filtering or pasteurizing it. There's a risk of recarbonation and things like that. So, we took all that time. We ditched around, I'd say about 6-7 brews. So, I mean, that's, that's 5,000 liters at a time, really. So what's that? You're looking, it's something like 30,000 liters of beer going down the drain. Because it had to be right. We wanted to get that full body in it, and we were very concerned with that. And things were coming out a little bit too bitter sometimes, or it'd be a bit too sweet. So we was just trying to get that sweet point. And we got to the point we were happy with it. And and what you just mentioned then is, did things change and tweak? We did actually tweak it. It was about, I'd say now about 4 months ago. We were having a few problems with a bit of very sporadic re-fermentation in the can.
In the can, yeah.
Yeah, and which is quite, it's not uncommon. Because we're not killing the yeast and it's still a live product, it's as fresh as you could possibly get it. It's not cooked up to a high temperature, which stabilizes the beer, but it also takes away parts of the beer as well that we want to keep in it. So we had to tweak it slightly and make a slight compromise on the body, take it down slightly, just because of those fermentables. And it was such a weird one that we were getting. It was very sporadic and very low, something like 1 can and something like 6,000 or something like that we were getting a problem with. So we kind of had to tweak the recipe a little bit just to overcome that slight problem that we were getting. So I think people, recipes are always tweaked, as time changes and, people's taste kind of acclimatizes to, new beers and more hops coming through on your beers. So I think there's always slight tweaks, but yeah. And, we had them with our Club NA about 4 months ago. So I think they're always ever evolving. Beers are always evolving. And, the recipes will change slightly with it as well, but not to save money. We've never, ever tweaked a recipe to save money. I don't think we have to at our sort of size. Yeah. It's not something that we would look to do like that. Any other brewery our size, we wouldn't bother doing that, I should imagine. It's only those big guys that would tweak recipes to save money, but we don't need to when we craft. So,
and it was really interesting to hear, actually. And I think it must be not only frustrating when you get like something that you need to tweak when it's such a small amount of incidences as well. But at the same time, it must be quite, I wonder if you share the same level of sort of excitement, because it's such a young area or young category, isn't it, alcohol free, and brewers like yourself are trying to remain sort of true to the actual processes. You're not taking a beer, boiling it to crap and then trying to inject some flavor back in again. You're trying to remain true to the process. So do you and your brewers and your team share that same level of excitement about the AF beers that you're brewing toward the rest of your range as well?
They do, because it's probably, along with a lager, a good solid lager, they're the hardest beers to make. I'd say the alcohol-free beer, all the alcohol-free beers we make are the most difficult to make. And I think they enjoy that because they enjoy the challenge. We've got a lot of good, a lot of good staff, our cellaring team. We've got guys and girls from Heriot Watt and Mark, our production manager, they absolutely love it because it's something they can really get their teeth into because there's nowhere to hide with a non-alcoholic beer. You know, the slightest mistake will show up. You know, over hopping shows up, you know, over sparging. You don't want, you know, any tannins in your beer, that bitterness, like you get with a real strong cup of tea. All these little things can keep showing up all the time. You don't want it too sweet and it tasting like, you know, unfermented beer. They're really, really difficult and hard to nail. So, you know, when you do hit a good one, you're like, wow. You know, some of these kind of continental lagers that you get, non-alcoholic lagers, they're just amazing. You just drink them and you're thinking, wow, you know. But on the other hand, you can get some bad ones too. But when they're good, they're just amazing. So I think that's from a production point of view, they love doing it because it's such a challenge. Because there's nowhere to hide. It's like making, you know, a good lager. So you know, that's an interesting point on it as well. And
love that.
Yeah,
I love that answer. It's I've heard it a couple of times before, but it's so good to hear time and time again because you know that it's here to stay, right? And I think, you know, we all want to be challenged in what we're doing, right? And I think it's for such a young category, and who knows, there may be sort of new ways to produce in a couple more years' time, right? There seem to be 4 or 5 different production techniques already.
That's what people love doing, isn't it? You know, and you know, people into really brewing, and you know, we got a few geeks working with us, and they just absolutely love it. And it was really interesting. Just before Christmas, the Welsh government decided to keep pubs open, but not to sell alcohol.
Yes, yeah.
So it went crazy, and it was brilliant. And I thought it'd have killed our trade. I just thought, oh, this is such a stupid idea. I mean, having a bar open without alcohol, I was just like, this is not going to work. But I had to eat my words because it actually worked. And the amount of people drinking alcoholic beer I was astounded. It really, really was. And it was really refreshing to see it actually. So that was really cool. And we bought loads of other beers in, but we were selling loads of it on keg as well. So it was nice.
Which leads me perfectly on to the next question. We got a question through, and I've not been lucky enough to try it when it was on draft, but are there plans to get it back on draft on trade as well when things open up again?
Yes, there will be. I think at the moment it's kind of difficult because we're at full production now, and we've ramped back up again, and all the keg is starting to come through. So I think the first things that start coming through, because the demand is so much higher, is obviously the things like Club, Club Tropica. We're kind of playing a bit of catch up now and trying to get our stocks back up, ready for the trade opening back up. But no doubt it'll come back through again. We're always making it for can anyway. So, you know, it's the same process as it is for can as it is for keg. So flipping a little bit into keg is going to be very, very simple. So we'll run through probably 3,000, 4,000 litres through the canning line, and we'll drop 1,000 litres through the kegging line as well. So, you know, we've got 100 kegs to flip out pretty quickly. So it'll be there. Yeah, it'll be there, no doubt. Ready for when we're opening. So
that's exciting news indeed. You touched upon I'm curious about your sort of influences, and you touched a little bit on some of the continental NAs. Are you influenced by that a lot? Do you try a lot of the alcohol frees? You mentioned Brad as well, and the members of your team. Any of them becoming connoisseurs and searching for new inspiration further afield?
What we usually find is that our bar staff will always go hunting them out, or they'll go from recommendations from us. So we'll always bring in, other breweries' beers, and so we'll always have like Big Drop will always be in, and we're trying a few of their new ones, and then I think Magic Rock was it recently,
yeah.
Or was it Fierce? We were bringing in some Fierce, non-alcoholic beers. So yeah, I mean, we're always having a go, and there's not many UK kind of breweries trying to nail that continental style lager. I've not seen many, maybe because it's very, very difficult to do.
It's tough.
So we still buy in kind of the standard non-alcoholic beers. I think we'll go through like sort of Matthew Clark for that. I saw a really good. I watched the Euroboozer non-alcoholic virtual tasting a few weeks ago. Did you catch that one? And they were all kind of continental. It was really, really interesting to watch that. And they were all kind of continental. So yeah, I think that might be a good one. That might be the sort of next project, is to try and nail a low alcohol lager. Yeah,
it's such an incredibly difficult, and I've never tried my hand at making them, but I've certainly drank enough. And it's by far and above the hardest to get right, and you just have tasted a lot of duds and just a few diamonds. So
yeah, I can always remember as a kid when I used to work in a bar. I'm probably a bit older than you, but I think the only one you could get then was it Caliber?
Would have been Caliber, probably, yeah.
That was probably the only one you could ever get. That was my first ever kind of introduction to non-alcoholic beers, really. But yeah.
But and the fact that we've got this festival on that Robin set up. We got this week, second year in a row now as well, with such a range out there, and we've just had a conversation about kegging your non-alcoholic IPA. I think we've come on light years since the days of a dusty old Caliber on a shelf at the back.
Exactly, I know, right? I think even kegging any non-alcoholic sort of craft beer is a massive step. It really, really is. We'll always have it on in our bar, and other bars and sort of wholesalers will pick it up. And I think to have a non-alcoholic beer on keg on a bar is a massive step already. So that's really interesting, because kind of we've been in the game 9 years now, 10 years. Never saw NA beers on the bar before, ever. Only in bottle, kind of bottom shelf, like you said, dusty bottom shelf.
Yeah.
Not bothered with. But
Back
to now, even low alcohol beers, like 1% beers and things like that, 2%, it's great, isn't it? It's come a long, long way, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Before I ask my final question, you got anything else you wanted to share whilst you're on?
That's a good question. I stumped me, that has now. No, not well. Kind of, I can just give an update of what we're doing at the moment, and we're kind of flat out again, ready for everything opening back up. We've got a big sort of new beer drop coming end of April. I think the 26th, just before bank holiday. I think we've got 8 new beers dropping there, all different styles. So that's really kind of kicking into gear at the moment. That's why I was trying so many beers today, because I've been away all week, and they're like, try this, gather, have this. So that's really exciting. I think we're just going to try and carry on growing, really, and doing what we're doing, and just trying to keep having fun, I think, isn't it? We're not taking ourselves too seriously, we're not taking the beer scene too seriously, and it's just take our beer seriously, but just keep having fun, isn't it? Stop having fun, and what's the point?
Yeah, that's the fun. The fun and the excitement's always got to be there, right?
Yeah.
I lied. I've got a penultimate question as well. Are we gonna see these are these part of your core range? Are we gonna see these over and over again, or was that a sort of one-off or a 2021 thing?
Core range is kind of weird, really, because I think the only core beers that we have is kind of like it's kind of like Club Cali and maybe Kutch, and then all the rest kind of change around it. I would say the Rhubarb and Custard NA will be back.
Okay.
Space Cake probably not. Party Hard will come back. We'll tweak that one quite slightly. There's a couple of things we like to tweak on it. The color of it and the body kind of pick up a little bit more. We were happy with that. Other than those couple of things. Definitely the Rhubarb and Custard will come back, because I think that was kind of we all kind of loved that, and it was kind of, yep, that's perfect, we nailed that one. So that would come back, definitely.
Oh, good to hear. Then my final question would be the Spaghetti Hoop IPA. How was that?
Do you know what, we had so many people asking about it.
Yeah, I bet.
I saw some friends in a garden yesterday, and I've not seen for 18 months. And the first thing they were saying was like, what's this beer? And I'm just like, geez, guys, And I'm like, it was just a joke, and I didn't know anything about it because
Did you? Okay.
no, I mean, I don't get involved in that kind of side of things. That Brad heads up all that side and pushes their business forward that way, and he heads it up with the marketing. We don't have a dedicated marketing department as such. It's all kind of done in house, really. We don't pay anybody to do it, and it surprised me because I had no idea it was coming out, and I saw it and I was like, oh, fair play, that's pretty good, and just had a chuckle to myself. And I had loads of people texting me thinking it was real. They're like, well, what's this? This is crazy. They really believed we were going to do it because I think after we made a ham beer last Christmas, a Stay Puft smoked honey glazed ham. And I think people really actually believed that we were going to bring it out. But yeah, that'd be fun, wouldn't it?
Well, who knows? Maybe it's 3 beers and a can of spaghetti on your desk rather than 4. Right?
I know. All the brewers a couple of months ago, we were all pushing to make a Bloody Mary style beer.
Okay.
So, but the kind of upstairs were kind of saying we can't do that, but we keep pushing for it. So I'm hoping by the year is out, we'd have made a Bloody Mary cocktail style beer.
Who knows? There might be a Virgin Mary as well.
Exactly, right? Brilliant.
There you go. I'll take that
one. Yeah.
Gazz, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. Thanks so much for sort of being so entertaining and answering all these questions. Yeah, great to drink the beers. Great to see the range sort of going strong, and I can't wait to try some of these on draft again.